Ladies and gentlemen, Seahawks fans of all ages, welcome back to the 12 Talk podcast. My name's Josh, and with me, as always, is my podcasting partner in crime, Mitch. We are going to be going over the Seahawks' 26-21 victory against the New York/New Jersey Jets in MetLife again, or Lumen Field 2.0. We've got our 12 talking points, Discord member musings, your questions and comments. We've also got a very special guest, an original UK Seahawker. Mr. Andy Robinson is joining us. Before we hit into the title sequence and whatnot, Mitch, how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been good, actually. I've got so much going on work-wise at the moment. By the time I got to the weekend, I could not wait for a Seahawks game, just to unwind from the week I'd had. And who knew what we actually got was more carnage than I'd experienced in an entire week at work. So yeah, absolutely no relaxation at all week in that respect. But yeah, good.
Nice. I had my daughter's 5th birthday, and I thought, you know what, we'll do Sunday rugby morning, rugby with the kids, and then we'll have birthday parties in the afternoon, and then just to quiet myself down, same as you, Seahawks game in the afternoon, 6 o'clock kickoff UK time. It was absolutely fantastic, and in that first quarter, I just thought, oh, it's not going to be a peaceful evening for me either, is it? Fantastic. But I mean, as always, I just want to give a very quick shout out. We are the official podcast of the UK Seahawkers. We are extremely proud to have been asked to be that podcast. If you want to become a UK Seahawker, an individual membership is £12. For a family membership up to 4 is £20. You can send payment via PayPal. It's nice and easy. You get invited to all the social events. Our latest social event next year, or next one, will be in Glasgow. We're still looking for a venue. So if any of our watchers or listeners are in the Glasgow area or know a bar or a venue, by all means, let us know. Get in the comments, hit us up on social media. We'd be more than happy to put that forward to the UK Seahawkers as well. But with that, you get some fantastic goodies as well. You get your wristband, your throwback patch, your membership card, and this year was an RFD card. So, also, big news, Seahawker of the Month is back. If you are a UK Seahawker or part of another chapter, you should have received an email from your chapter president to tell you that the Seahawker of the Month is back. If you have anyone that you wish to vote for charitable donations or exercises for raising awareness of chapters, by all means, please email back, give your vote. It's all greatly appreciated. But without further ado, Mitch, shall we hit that theme music and then we'll bring Andy in because it's going to be a great chat today.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And here he is. 12 Talk. Please welcome in Andy. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, thank you. I'm great. Thanks. Thank you for having me on.
No, absolute pleasure. You know, as the UK Seahawkers official podcast, to have an original UK Seahawker on the pod, I am absolutely thrilled by this. For anyone who doesn't know about the UK Seahawkers or yourself, please let us know all about your Seahawks fandom and give us a bit about the UK Seahawks history.
Okay. I'll start at the beginning. I saw my first Super Bowl when I was in my first year at university, and that would have been in February 1984. And later that year, I lived with three guys, and we used to watch the Channel 4 program, which was on a Sunday evening, and they were showing runs, and not that week's games, the previous week's games. I think from memory, they used to show extended highlights of one game and then highlights of other games. And we all picked a different team, and I picked the Seahawks. And the thing that sticks with me about why I picked the Seahawks was they played a particular game that year, I think in about late October, November, against the Raiders. And the fans in the Kingdom had these Raider Buster T-shirts, which I loved. Raiders helmet with the Ghostbusters, I think, was out the previous year. That's one thing that appealed to me, and I'm just stuck with the team ever since, really. And I had Sky all the way through, but Sky used to show one game a week typically for a lot of years, and the Seahawks were hardly ever on. Coming up into early 2000s, again, I was still following the team, not really that much aware that there were other UK or Seahawks fans out there. There were a few that had been more organised than I realised. They had an official magazine that used to get mailed out, and they used to swap videos as well at one point, the game videos.
Oh, wow.
I was just aware of that. But in 2004, it was the day after, if you remember the Matt Hasselbeck, we want the ball and we're going to score in the Green Bay Packers playoff game. It was the morning after that. There was a US-based website then that had a message board called Seahawks Sal. I think it still exists, a Facebook page now. And on there was a post from a guy called Matt Cheeseman, who said he was looking to set up a group of UK Seahawkers, get an official booster club. And they needed, I think, a certain number of members before they could be considered. And I think I was one of the first to put my name down for that. And I think we got the required number, whether that was 20 or 30, that was something like that. And we became an associate group, first of all, I think, in the summer of 2004. And I think we've been a group ever since, and going from strength to strength. So that's the background.
I was going to say it's a fantastic sort of like we find this as UK podcasters of American sport. It's speaking to a lot of people when you say, "Oh, I do a podcast," and they go, "Oh, really? What's it about?" You say American football. The majority of people go, "Oh." However, when you find the right people to speak to, your clan, so to speak, it brings a whole community aspect to it. And this is where Mitch and I wanted to do the 12 Talk pod, to have Seahawkers from all around the world. We've got a lot of UK Seahawkers, and being the official pod now, it allows us and other Seahawks fans that may not have known that there were more people like us, especially in the UK, just to come together. And thank you very much for you guys starting it, because without you, we'd all still be these individual Seahawks fans plodding around, randomly shouting "Go Hawks" to people that we see with Seahawks merch, and they'd have no idea. I've seen a few where I live, and most of them just give me a really sort of scared look.
We started the Facebook group in 2008. We used to have a website back in the early days as well. And we started the Facebook group really just as an add-on to the website initially. But when the website died a death, we continued really strength to strength with the Facebook group. And Ian Smith, as you know, did a lot of work in making it popular, the group. And, you know, we think we've got like 3,700 members now.
There's
quite a few. There's perhaps not as much engagement as there was a few years ago. There's still plenty of engagement on there. It's still quite good fun, I think, to go on there. There's not really any nastiness on there. It's quite pleasant most of the time. So I think it's doing quite a good job.
It's a good little group. I mean, it's sort of the framework we've taken as well with our Discord, where Mitch just tries to keep. I think everyone we've got in there is really they enjoy each other's company. There's no sort of bad blood. Anyone that does come in and start shouting, screaming, swearing, and whatnot, Mitch is quite easy and quite quick to boot them off. Or if you're an active, Mitch will boot you off the server, as well, as we found out last week with our guest, where we've been trying to get him onto our Discord and he just couldn't do it. Then Mitch found out that he'd kicked him off by accident previously. So
I'd also banned Mark Woodcock at some point, and I can't think why I did it. But I apologize. I'm trigger happy with the ban hammer sometimes, but
just ingratiate yourself.
I've got to stay relevant. No, it's such a good group of people we have, and it's so cool on game day when there's 10, 15 people all reacting to the moments and sharing banter and giving their take on what we're seeing, and seeing how people are all seeing it slightly differently. You know, a bad play will happen and someone will say it's on Gino, someone will say it's the O-line, and, you know, someone's calling out the play calling, or we can't establish the run game, or, you know, it's so good to see like-minded people just coming together on game day and just talking about it. Because I think the thing that I've always lacked, being a UK American football fan, is that platform to just talk about it with people. I go into work, I don't see another American football fan. I've got no one to talk about the weekend's action with. So we've created this brilliant community where we can just do it 24/7 if we want, because we've got people all around the world who are awake at different times. So anytime you want to chat about American football, our Discord chat is always there. So join it.
There you go. The link will come into the comments as well. First, thank you very much for everyone that's joining in as well. We will get round to your comments and Discord member musings after. But I think first, what we really need to do is just get into the meat and bones of what happened yesterday. Because as Mitch and I alluded to, we were expecting a nice, calm Sunday afternoon / evening of Seahawks football. But we all know that never happens. So the Seahawks march into MetLife and they put up a big dub, 26-21. But after that first quarter, I don't think any of us thought that was going to be the case, did they? So I'll just do a quick rundown for anyone who's listening on podcasting platforms. So first quarter, 0 points scored by the Seahawks, 14 by the Jets. So it was a touchdown to Adams with a missed extra point, and then a touchdown to Davis with a 2-point conversion. And then second quarter, we came alive. Touchdown by AJ Barner. Then the special teams woes persisted. This time it was actually from the Jets returning and scything through our kick return defense, with following a touchdown from this man's going to get a lot of love on this pod, I know, because I've seen what you two want to talk about, from Leonard Williams, Big Cat, who batted a ball to himself and rumbled for a 92-yard pick six. Now, seeing the pictures of him and videos of him without an oxygen mask on the sideline did not surprise me, because that put the fear of God into me. If I saw that much open field in any sport I was playing, I wouldn't want to run that far. And then we had a field goal from Myers. Third quarter again, 0-0, 0-0. But then fourth quarter, we had a field goal from Myers and a touchdown from the much maligned Zach Charbonnet, giving us the final score, 26-21. Now, before we get into our 12 talking points, I'm just very quickly going to give everyone a quick word from our charity partner, the Robbing Cancer Trust, and then we'll come back to our 12 talking points.
I want to take a minute just to introduce you our charity partner for the pod, the Robbing Cancer Trust. The Robbing Cancer Trust is the UK's germ cell cancer community. For those who don't know what germ cell cancer is, that is testicular and ovarian cancer, and the RCT was set up following the family tragedy, which sadly saw them lose their son and brother to germ cell cancer. Germ cell cancer is something that can affect anyone at any time, and the RCT, Robbing Cancer Trust, do a fantastic job creating awareness through the various campaigns like Talking Bollocks and Not Overreacting. If you or a member of your family have been affected or think you may be affected by it, please visit their website, therobbingcancertrust.org, to see how you can spot the signs, how you can manage it, and become part of the community. And if you'd like to help fundraise or give anything to them, by all means, that would be absolutely fantastic.
There you go. Proudly supporting the Robbing Cancer Trust here as well. Fantastic cause, raising germ cell cancer awareness in men and women across the UK, and now a wider audience. So shall we get into the nuts and bolts of this? Now, for anyone who's new, who may be joining in because Andy's joined us, thank you, firstly. Secondly, this is what we call our 12 talking points. So each of us have got 4 talking points that we're going to go through. Andy, as our guest here, is going to go first. So you ready, Andy?
Yeah, I am.
Born ready, lovely. Right. Firstly, here we go.
I'm glad they're on screen.
Our red zone offense.
Where to start? I don't know. When you look at the stats, our red zone offense isn't that disastrous. I think we're about 12th in the league. In the last 3 games, we were about 9th in the league. So overall, we're not that bad. But I think we know that in that short yardage, we appear to be completely hat stand. We've just no idea what we're doing. Inside the 4-yard line yesterday, we had 8 attempts. 2 of them resulted in penalties, I know, but we threw the ball 5 times. Surely we can find a way to force it into the end zone without making 5 passing attempts out of 8 tries. whether it's a quarterback sneak, whether it's some other invention, moving someone, heaven forbid. We just got to get better at that, really. And I was thinking as well of the Rams game where we went for it on 4th down on about the 16-yard line, and we didn't get the yard then. Just, just got to be better. I don't know, what they're going to do about it. And I don't know if you saw at one point, it showed Mike McDonald, and he had a very pained expression on his face. This was just when this series was going on. And I think he looked like I felt what is going on.
Collective sigh from Seahawks fans, really.
I think he said in his press conference that, you recognise it, they need to improve it. I got the impression he wasn't that impressed with how it went.
Yeah, well, Mitch.
Yeah.
Well, what are your thoughts on the red zone offense?
The thing is, across that game, when we were in short yard situations or 4th downs, those clutchy moments, we were actually really good, and we have been all year. It's when we're in those, 1 yard, 1 and goal, 2 and goal situations, you really do have to rely on your offensive line to get a yard, to really jump off the snap, win instantly, move people, and give your running back a chance. If you can just give your running back a chance at the line in those situations, you'll win more often than you don't. But losing 8 times in a row, it doesn't just suggest it, you could see it. We were getting knocked back at the line repeatedly, and it blows up the run plays. So we really, I know it's low-hanging fruit to blame the O-line for red zone problems, but it really does stifle your play calling when you can't punch it in with a running back like Ken Walker or Charbonnet from a yard. So I think a lot of it stems there. However, I will caveat that by saying, if you are struggling like that, and we predictably struggle with our O-line in those situations, you need to be creative as a play caller. And if you can't think something up in 8 attempts from a yard or less than 2 or 3, that really does underline a problem for me.
Yeah, it's just, it seems to be, like I said, it's a lack of imagination when we're there. The 8 attempts, fair play, they garnered 2 penalties, but there was no real threat. And I've felt this for the last couple of seasons now. When we're in that red zone, we're in a short yardage situation near the goal line. It seems it's not like it's automatic where it should be. For some teams, they're going to give it to their running back, punch it in, it's going to be a TD regardless. We just don't seem to have that ability. And I'll go into it later with sort of Grubb's offense, but I'm getting a bit beyond blaming the O-line now, because I just think the consistency, I thought LeMayer was actually really good yesterday. I was really surprised by him. And I think as we've said previously on this pod, the more consistency we get with that O-line, the better the play will be and the better we'll be able to develop things. But the red zone offense is just, I think it's something that Grubb and Mike Mack need to look at as to how we can improve that.
Yeah, so if you go back to last year, just to add before we move on too much, if you go back to last year, how many times did we see Jake Bobo pop up there, or a tight end, or being creative and using gadget or players in sort of gadget ways? People around the league do it. You see players like Taysom Hill, and people find a way to get creative with players with unique abilities and traits. We've got them on the roster. Why are we not using them?
It's a very good question. Answers on a postcard, viewers and listeners. Let's go. Number 2, the run game. Oh, this feeds in really well here, Andy.
Well, what I meant about this, and I wish I'd have picked some more positive things really to talk about now. But there was a stat that Adam Amini on commentary gave that I think on 53% of our run plays this season, we've been hitting the backfield. It's the second worst in the NFL. And there were a couple of plays early on last night where we handed the ball off, must have been within a split second of the snap coming. And the defensive line's right next to it. What chances have you got when that happens? Now, I think on the positive side, I think we did clean it up a bit in the second half. We were a bit more better at blocking things in the second half, but it's been a constant theme for most of the season, most of the last 2 or 3 seasons, really, that we're getting hit in the backfield far too much. And again, something I hope we can tidy up.
Yeah, I think it's a massive one frustration for me because, and we'll get onto him a bit later, K9 currently I think is being wasted, but part of the issues of being hit in the backfield is I don't know how much he ad-libs and doesn't go for the gap that he's supposed to go to and decides to try and bounce it out or do something magical, which he has got the ability to do, and he makes some great plays with it. I just think there needs to be some consistency in it. We need to start leaning on it more early in games and really start to stamp our authority with it, with the two different types of running backs we've got. Charbonnet, who we've seen can punch it up the gut and also has got some dancing feet, able to spin away from, oncoming D-line. Use them more. It just seems to be a fear that, as you pointed out, we are getting hit in the backfield so often that they don't want that to keep happening. But you're not going to improve something unless you keep doing it and practice it and become comfortable with it, which is something that Mike Mack preaches. So I'm not holding out great hope for the rest of the season on it. There are some improvements that are happening and we see them, but I think it's something that still needs to be looked at. Mitch?
I'm not going to add here because I've got Charbonnet in my comments, and I've got something that tallies up nicely with this, but I'll add that when we get there.
Perfect. Here you go, Andy. 2 observations for you. Go on.
And again, I wish I could probably give more love to Big Cat, but how I approached it when I was thinking about the game really was that for the flack that John Schneider's taken this season, a lot of it rightly so, this can clearly be seen as a success for him, and I'm sure he goes to bed smiling at night when he plays like he has the last 2 weeks. Second round and 5th round pick, big size contract, I know, but he's looking like almost the best player in NFL the last 2 weeks. So it's good from that point of view. Ernest Jones as well, perhaps he gets credit for that as well, for bringing him in. That seems to have certainly stopped teams running on us, which has been really good. I think that's been a big point towards winning the last 3 games, stopping them running on us.
Yeah, 100%. Do you know what? This is 2 weeks on the bounce now where we've had superlatives for Big Cat and JSN. So how good is JSN? Yeah,
well, a couple of really big receptions yesterday. No touchdowns, did he? But it was that on I think it was the 4th and 6th play when he got 25 yards. I thought was really good, getting free there and making a catch there. The thing I liked about him, again, something I noticed on the film as well, that after, I think it was our 3rd muff pumped, sorry, he appeared to be saying to
give me the ball.
Jay Harbaugh that put me in on returning. He was pointing at himself, saying, let me return kicks.
Yeah.
I thought was showed his character and how he was willing to step up for the team.
Yeah, I think he's just become he's an invaluable player for us now. I think he's really stepped up this season. Right, so Andy, thank you very much for your 4. Let's go through mine. Quick observation, and as I was doing the social media for the pod last night over on X and Blue Sky and whatever else I had open on my phone, Grubb's offensive philosophy. Now, I had to write a note of this because I was doing some musings of my own. And it seems to be Grubb's philosophy is the first half is just throw the football. Try and push the defense back as much as possible and test them to see exactly what you've got back there and if there's any holes or what we can exploit, like player weakness wise. Then in the second half, he sort of brings the running game in that 3rd quarter just to see how they are up front. Ergo, pushing all the safeties and everything into the box, bringing your cornerbacks forward as well, playing shallow zones or going man. And then once we've got that and they're bringing everyone forward, he then decides to sling the ball again to sort of stretch the field. My issue with it is that if I've noticed that over the last few games, and it is, if you watch every single game, as we just said, the running game only develops in the second half. First half is throw, couple of runs, throw, and that's how it sort of goes. if I'm seeing that, then everyone else is. Why is he not mixing it up more? Why is he not utilizing the different looks? And we've got Bryce in the comments here, so he'll be able to sort of tell us at some point. But I don't know why he's not sort of mixing it up more. It was a massive frustration for me just seeing it, and it came into my head yesterday, and it's something I really wanted to address. If anyone knows if I'm just chatting chuff, or if anyone else has noticed that, please by all means let us know. And here we go. Let's have a chat about K9. So we sort of spoke about the running game. Mitch is going to talk about Charbonnet. We are wasting K9, completely wasting him, based on what I put out there for Grubb's offensive philosophy, based on what we're asking him to do. There's only so many times I can see them trying to run K9 up the gut before I want to throw something at my TV. He should be one of the elite, like, premier running backs in the league, but it doesn't seem to be happening from a yardage point of view anyway this year. Touchdowns, he's on 7. So not great, not bad, not great, but I just think we're currently wasting K9 and something needs to be done about it. Andy, what are your opinions on that one?
Well, I've been saying since his rookie year that we need to stop running up the middle so much and try and get him on the edge in whatever way we do it. Because he can make a man miss. He's got pace. The only thing about last night was I thought we tried that a couple of times. It didn't work for last night. But I think going forward, I think that's the right strategy to adopt for sure. I know he dropped a pass last night as well, which is perhaps a little unlike him. Because I think he could be a receiving running back as well, but we don't seem to use him like that very much either. But I'd like us to get him more on the edge and use his pace and making the man miss. I
just love to see him utilised to his strengths. Anyone in a coaching field will say you utilise people to their strengths. It's sort of like the definition of insanity. If you pick someone's weakest or one of the weaker abilities or attributes and go, just keep doing that, it'll come good, and it still hasn't. Cycle of madness. Go on, Mitch. Go on. As you're going to talk about Charbonnet in a bit, what are you thinking about K9?
Yeah, I don't mind K9 up the gut. I just want them to do it occasionally just to keep defenses honest. If you know that we'll use him that way, you have to prepare for it. But I'd still like to see the majority of our targets for K9 being in space or trying to get him in space out wide. Using him as a check down more often, because if you hit him for a couple of yards, there's serious yak potential there. We don't do that enough. And I think, again, I hark back to the offensive line. I mean, we're not able to provide him with enough opportunity, I would say, on a down-to-down basis. He probably gets about 1.5 yards less per game this season, just entirely based off the O-line performance and not being able to carve him out, a gap that he can just keep churning 3 yards from. So and Andy mentioned it, the amount of time he gets hit in the backfield, we're not doing our job in front of him consistently. So yeah, I do think we've got a potential blue chip running back playing behind a brown chip O-line. it's the way I'd say it.
Well, a quick comment from Bryce Coops from the Hawks on Rundown. K9 is similar to LT, but they're zone runners, and our O-line and offense keeps bouncing between power, gap schemes, and zone. That doesn't work. So there you go. That's one answer as to why we're wasting him, because we're not scheming for his talents. So let's go on to the next one. Second half adjustments. This is mainly for Mike Mack. The second half adjustments, I think, are really starting to shine now in these games, where you can see in the first half he's sort of testing the water, but by the time halftime comes, he seems to have clicked on to exactly what an offense is doing and is being able to stop them there and then. And it is so nice to see. I wish it happened from the start of the game and carried all the way through. But if it's going to be second half to win a game, I'll take it. And then finally from me, a quick talking point here. Again, we saw AJ Barner have by all accounts, a very good game for a rookie type. Yeah, Mitch, it's your boy AJ Barner, I know. And in case you weren't aware, Mitch shouted out AJ Barner in the draft as a Seahawks player before we drafted him. That's 2 Michigan players he's done now consecutive years. There you go. There's your moment in the sun, Mitch.
Thanks, mate.
But it's all right. But the way AJ Barner's playing, do you think that warrants us keeping Noah Fant next year? Especially when you think about the drop he had, which, in my opinion, that should have been a catch. He's been injured. I don't think we've had production out of him since we've signed him, to be honest, considering he's a field stretching threat as tight end. I don't think he's someone that we'll look to keep next year. I think he's a trade candidate. Andy, what do you think?
No, I don't think they'll keep him at all. The only thing that's sort of in the back of my mind that thinks they might just try to is that I know that John Schneider was a big fan. I think Schneider was really keen to have him as part of the Russell Wilson trade. So that's the only reason I can think of that it would be around next year. But like I say, he hasn't produced. I've been really enjoying Barner this season, so I'm hoping we'll go forward a different way.
Was it a quick one from Bryce as well? Fant's last TD was in 2022. Wow. Mitch, what are your opinions on Barner? On Fant, even.
I mean, I can talk all day about Barner if you want me to. No, the thing with Fant, I think if you're going to try and use a tight end as a genuine field stretching weapon, you kind of need to be pretty stout with your O-line first. I think if you're able to strap a tight end to the edge of a formation and have him run off and not block anyone, you need to be pretty sure that your O-line's going to go man to man and cope. We're not. So putting blocking tight ends out there like Barner and then getting the ball in their hands for a 10-yard gain and churning first downs is far more likely with our current situation. If the O-line suddenly started being super capable, I think we could then start using that kind of weapon. But his injuries plus the way our O-line's panned out has kind of meant that he looks like a huge waste of money because we just can't utilize him properly.
Just joining a long list. But not on that list is someone that I'm pretty sure, well, Andy's already mentioned him. But Mitch, now it's your turn to speak about the
Big Cat hasn't peaked. Couple of stats. A couple of little stats for Big Cat. Big Cat in his career in the NFL has had 50 sacks, which is a nice return for an interior D lineman, right? He's had 5 in the last 2 games. He's had 10% of his sack count in 2 games. That you look at his age profile and the deal we got him on, and for the duration, that's the kind of twilight of your career. It's your last dance kind of contract, isn't it? It's you got 3 years to make some hay. Go and play for a competitive team and make some dough. This is the best kind of return he's had for pass disruption in his entire career. And Andy mentioned what a deal we're getting out of him. His contract and the draft capital we spent are both looking like money really well spent based on what we're getting. And I'll give you another stat. Career returns for Leo. Career returns for Leo Williams, 98 yards of returning in his entire career. 92 of them, 85% of his return yards in one game, in which he was clocked at nearly 18 miles an hour as a 310-pound D lineman. It was also the longest return from a fumble or an interception from a 280-pound plus D lineman in NFL history. So this is not a guy that reflects the age or the tenure he's had in the NFL. He looks peak and primed to keep pushing on and improving.
Can we just address that the pick six? So I've watched that multiple times, and like you said, he's a big boy, and big boys tend not to shift as quick as some of the others. Yet he managed to get into the end zone on a pick six, unfazed, untouched, literally nothing. I think there was, from what I could see from the TV angles, one jet who was chasing after, and he got blocked. Now, think about Buda Baker and his interception, and DK Metcalf chasing him down for, I think it was probably about the same, about 92 yards to bring him down outside of the end zone. Where was the effort from the Jets? I think this isn't taking anything away from Big Cat, because it was, I love watching a big boy rumble. You know, big boys unite. But I couldn't see any effort from the Jets. It was like that happened, and every single one of them went, oh, Devontae Adams, nothing. Wilson, nothing. Rodgers was never even going to try and sort of chase after that. You know, less said about Rodgers on this pod, the better. But it baffled me. I was watching it and thinking, someone's got to chase him down. Someone has got to chase Big Cat down. But nothing. Absolutely nothing. I just put that in there. It was just something that really, really rattled me. That's such a lack of effort.
Well, I know he said in his interview after the game that he was looking to throw a lateral at halfway.
Yeah.
He didn't need to. He just carried on trundling down there. The other thing that I thought a nice stat I read, that's only, I know you don't like mentioning Aaron Rodgers, but it's only the second pick six he's thrown in the red zone in his entire career. So one of them to be Leonard Williams, I thought was quite nice.
Yes. Oh, we'll take that. Big Cat is very, very quickly becoming a fan favorite and a favorite of the pod as well. If he carries on like this, he's very much in line for Defensive Player of the Year honors, I think. Mitch, your next one, Charbonnet Clarity.
Yeah, Charbonnet Clarity, and what I wanted to get across here is what Charbonnet has right now in this offense is what Ken Walker doesn't have, and that is just following the play that's called and attacking the gap he's assigned to, almost unquestioningly, he just hits the gap, and even if he gets blown up for 1 yard, no yards, minus a yard, he just goes automatically to that. Ken Walker knows that he can turn nothing into 30, 40 yards if he just beats a couple of men when something breaks down. And he sometimes takes himself out of a small gain trying to get a big one. Charbonnet doesn't care if he gets 1 yard or 30. He just follows what's been chalked up for him. And we saw that a lot yesterday. I think it was either a third or a fourth down where he needed a yard and he got 10 or something and made a few people miss. And he's just got clarity in what his role is in this team, and he's trusting the calls. Ken Walker seems to be having to ad-lib quite a lot to try and carry the team. A bit like Gino. Gino seems to be making mistakes, trying to do a bit too much. I feel like K9 is probably doing something similar at the moment. Charbonnet's got clarity in his role.
Agreed. Oh, Love and Kobe are perfect. I was desperate for you to come up with some sort of pun, but there was nothing.
There's one in there somewhere, I'm sure. It's got to be. Yeah, I really, really like the balance we have when those two are on the field. There's a balance of they just have everything, don't they? I mean, they work well in run support. They're kind of twitchy in the, well, not twitchy is probably the wrong word, but they're really instinctive. They seem to get to receivers super quick. They're both good at ball hawking and making things happen. You remember Kobe's first season where he was punching the ball out. I always feel like both of those two have got a momentum switching moment in them, and they're both so interchangeable. When they're both on the field, you never really know which one of them is going to be doing what, because they can do it all. So they're both Swiss Army knives. They've both got big plays in them, and I just really like the balance that brings. And the disguise, actually. The disguise as well is big.
Yeah, that's good. Well, Andy, what have you thought about having Kobe and Love in there, the safety positions?
Oh no, really good. I mean that he forced the fumble, didn't he, yesterday? Love, really good, and I like the way that Tyrese Knight just picked it up, put it in his pocket, and scampered off with it. Yeah, no, it's been really good. Good to see. I think I saw a stat earlier that on the PFF rankings at least, which I don't always love, that they're performing in the top 10 of the safeties in the NFL at the moment.
I believe it. I think it's been Kobe's movement to safety and starting there consistently has been a bit of a revelation, and it is so nice to see, because I will freely admit that I have not been his biggest fan. However, I'm turning into one of them. Oh, Mitch, here we go.
Yeah, yeah, this is my final observation. Just one final thing about what Andy said there about the safety room and them being so highly rated by numerous different sort of websites and organizations. We have the highest paid safety room in the NFL, and none of the players that we're paying that money to are on that stat sheet. Both Adams and Diggs are the reason why we're paying our safety room so much money, and the two we're not paying that much money to. Well, Love got his new deal, but nothing in comparison. And those are the two that are turning up. So I love that. It kind of it massively justifies why we moved off them, really. When you look at
shout out to Jamal Adams, he's now a Detroit Lion, potentially going to have a Super Bowl ring at the end of the season.
Ugh, that's horrible. So yeah, Mike, this last point, just so much is wrong. Nothing is perfect. Everything is kind of spotty. But we're 7-5, and so many people. When you looked at people's predictions for the season, we were a 7-win, 8-win, 9-win team. We've got 7 already, and we've got winnable games coming up too. We've got to play the Bears. We've got to play the Rams again, which I think is winnable. We've got the Cardinals. Are we looking at a 10-win season while being flawed with a flawed O-line, with dodgy play calling? Are we going to get 10 wins? That's mad to me, with a completely new coaching team. Yeah, that's that observation for me.
Andy, have you had what were your predictions for our record for this year?
I can't recall off the top of my head. I'm wildly optimistic, so I would have probably thought something about 10 or 11, but that would have been being optimistic, I think. Well, we might get there. So,
I think which is where me and Mitch were in pre-season as well. When we did our sort of game-by-game prediction, I think we were at 11 and 6. Or it might have been 10 and 7. I can't remember. We both said we'd have a winning season because I think the roster's too good not to. And we did also say by halfway through the season, after the bye week, everything would start clicking. And it is, which is just, it's lovely. It's lovely. It's so nice to actually have the last 2 pods have been really positive things. Even when things have been dire or could be dire, we're putting positive spins on it all. There you go. Positive mental attitude for the rest of the season.
They've been brilliantly entertaining games as well. I know the Seahawks win or lose, we tend to entertain regardless, even if it's our rivals laughing at us when we find a way to lose a game. But they have been wildly entertaining games, the last 2.
This was like the weirdest drunken bar fight I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, it was everything that happened. It was just sort of, what else can go worse? It's like, oh, he's thrown a haymaker. Oh, he's thrown a bar stool at someone. Oh, look, he's squirting him with the the nozzle of the drink. It was that type of thing where it's like, oh, so special teams can't play. And can we have a quick shout out whilst I've got you both here, the people in the comments, and I know it's going to be on the Discord thing. D. Williams. Now, I want to caveat anything I say on here in case I clip it up and put it on social media. I have respect for anyone that makes it into the NFL or college football. You have got and will get further than anyone on this pod, or anyone in our comments have ever done in the American football sphere in our lives. But why can you not do your job? That's right. It's him, LaVisca, the special teams unit. Jay Harbour. There you go. Let's go that way. Why can't they do their job? It nearly made it into my talking points, but it was just such a bone of frustration. There are 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams. And yesterday there were 2 phases. To the point that Andy said, JSN was saying, put me in and let me catch the ball, because he was that frustrated.
I mean, I did feel a little bit sorry for D on his fumble, because it was punched out quite hard. I suppose you could say he might have been carrying it the other arm, but no, it's not working, is it? It's a question of are there going to be changes this week? And who can we change it to? I did see last night for the 49ers that Deebo Samuel was returning kicks, which surprised me.
Anything for them to help them win.
But I don't know where they go from them if they did move away from them this week, but I think it's got to be on the cards the way it went.
I don't think Tyler Lockett's going to be putting his hand up to be a punt returner or a kick returner anymore, because although yesterday I did feel really bad for him for his current ethos of, I will take this catch and I will hit the floor so hard that no one has got the opportunity to hit me. He took there was one catch that he made, and as soon as he turned around, he got his clock rung by a jet. And that's all I thought. I was like, oh, that is not what he wants to be doing in these games. But were there any other, before we sort of move on to our Discord member musings, were there any other points of that game that were really of interest? Was there sort of a highlight for you? Andy, start with you. Give us 1 or 2.
Oh, probably. Let me have a think. I think the winning touchdown from Charbonnet, I'm not even sure you pronounce his name, LeMayu, the new right guard. I think he created the whole.
Satawa LeMayu.
LeMayu. I think he created the whole partly. So on his debut, take a good part in the winning touchdown.
It was a bright spot, wasn't it? Yeah. LeMayu has a reputation as a real nasty mover of people, and we don't really have that on our O line. So I'm really hyped that he is getting a bit of action, because they had been kind of nurturing him and grooming him in the background to be a solution for us. But if he keeps playing like that, Laken Tomlinson's not back next year, and I think that is a great thing. So yeah, I really liked seeing that.
Yeah, I agree. Right, so next up we have got our Discord member musings. But before we get into our Discord member musings, as always, but we do like to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Wraith Energy. So we'll be back in just under a minute.
Let's give a big shout out to our sponsor, Wraith Energy. Wraith is a sugar-free energy drink that comes in these handy-dandy little sachets that you've not got to take in a huge can away with you. Simply mix it with half a litre of water, give it a good shake, and you are ready to go. It is sugar-free. It has all the benefits of pretty much every energy drink you'll have, apart from the fact it doesn't cost you a fortune, and they're very, very honest with what they have in there. You have taurine, caffeine, multiple vitamins, no sugar. And for any of you who try sugar-free energy drinks, usually you'll know they're not the best. Wraith, however, I have tried the majority of the flavors now, and I love every single one. If you want to try Wraith, go to wraithEnergy.com, and when you're going to check out, use code 12TALK for 10% off. You'll thank us later. Go Hawks.
I don't know what happened there, but the editing on that video actually went well. It didn't cut anything off. I must be more technically savvy. But now this is one of our favourite parts. And Andy, you can join us in this, answering these. This is I won't do the theme tune this week, Mitch, because we know it doesn't work out. Well, I can if you want.
I'm okay.
All right, God. Oh, okay, fair enough. Is our Discord member musing? So anyone, as we mentioned before, we do have a Discord server. It is free to join. You can hit the link in the comments. It's the pin post on our X. We've got a fantastic group of people that have joined and continue to join. We had some new joiners for this game, and they've been brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Oh God, Mitch, put the hat back on. So I still can't get used to it. Right, so let's kick it off. Okay, so Rich, a previous guest of the pod, will D. Williams be gone by the time the podcast starts tomorrow evening? This was sent yesterday.
That's an easy answer to that one because it hasn't happened.
Yeah. So there you go. No. Tobias Tubbs is a new member. Can we make the playoff and get to the Super Bowl? Andy, I'm going to throw this one to you first.
Well, I'd like to think we're going to make the playoffs. I really would. I think that's going to be the best we're going to do, but I think it's virtually impossible for us to get to the Super Bowl. I'm saying that as someone that's normally super optimistic. I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, I agree. Mitch?
I'm just thinking about what it takes to get to a Super Bowl in this division. And the teams that are realistically, it depends a lot on whether we limp in or we go in as a divisional winner. Because if you go in as a divisional winner right now, we're not going to skip. We're probably not going to be a one or two seed, right? We're not going to skip the first round, but we might get a home tie against someone like the Buccaneers or someone else that limps through. We might get Washington Commanders. That'd be a nasty one. They're playing well. To get through potentially an Eagles game, a Washington Redskins Commanders game, and then end up beating someone like the Lions or the Vikings to get in to a Super Bowl. That is a tough group of teams that are currently better coached in terms of having coaching staff that have been there a while, established rosters that have been fine-tuned. That's a huge ask. However, go through as divisional winners, get a home tie. You're only ever 2 or 3 games away from the Super Bowl if you get that far. So why not, eh? Let's dream.
Yeah, I think playoffs, if we keep doing what we're doing at the moment, it is 100% on the cards. We've said this before on the pod, I don't think this team's ready for a Super Bowl appearance yet. Because you look at some of the teams that we'll be going up against. So currently the Eagles, the Lions, that's just in the NFC. And then you've got other teams like the Commanders as well, who are weirdly doing very, very well. But then you're going to come up against someone like the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, if you get to the Super Bowl. And all 3 of those teams, I think, would humble us. So playoffs, yes. Super Bowl, not quite yet. And another question from one of our new members, Design Pete's Beach House. So any of you who listen to the Seahawkers pod, you will recognize this username. So Amy has asked, can we ever figure out how to get 1 yard? Something that we addressed earlier. I'd love to hope so. I'd just love us to. I'd love us to do the QB sneak, the tush push, some version of that. Be lovely.
I hate it. The tush push. I don't like throwing bodies on top of bodies and potentially injuring your guys for the sake of 1 yard. If it's for a game-winning touchdown, sure, roll the dice. The regularity in which the Eagles do it is reckless and obnoxious to me. I find it just an absolute aberration, to be honest. But I'm kind of glad in some ways we don't do it. Although I would have settled for it if on our first attempt at gaining a yard. But it just I don't like it. I'm very much for the banning or some kind of regulation on that play.
Well, Andy.
Well, I think my honest answer is no.
Fair enough.
Again, I don't want to be too negative again, but on the Gino one where he ended up getting sacked at the 19-yard line or whatever, that was a bizarre play. That was because the entire team went left. He went left, saw there was nothing, but then turned back right. I don't know what he was expecting to be there when he just seen the entire team go left, and he ended up trying to go left again and too late and sacked.
Yeah, there were a few yesterday, but we'll come on to it. With the O-line, I mean, for me, the tush push is just a rugby maul. That's all it is. You have one man. It's a bit truck and trailer, if you know what the rugby term, but it's one man who's running straight into his centre and then having 2 running backs or an extra offensive lineman playing at fullback, just pushing the hell out of them. It shouldn't be such a fine science, but the Eagles seem to have perfected it, and no one else can. I'd be all in favour of us having something like that. It wouldn't bother me as long as we can make 1 yard, especially if that 1 yard is just outside the end zone. That'd be lovely. I'd take it all day. Right, another one from Tobias. How can we improve our O-line? Now, this one is something that's spoken about, I think, on every Seahawks pod, improving the O-line. I think yesterday we showed dramatic improvements, especially in pass pro, when you look at how much time Gino had in that pocket. Sometimes too much time. It's just a pity that we couldn't get any of our receivers free, or he couldn't spot the free ones. I think having them all together, keep playing as a unit and creating that consistency will be a massive thing for these. I still think now we're seeing what LeMayer does at the right guard. I think left guard is where we need to start looking now, because Tomlinson for me is still a bit of a liability. What do you guys think, Andy?
Well, I just think we're so inexperienced. We can improve to a degree, I think, yeah, but not sufficiently to get us over the line to make a deep one in post-season, I think. But, to keep the group together, you'd hope that in future seasons they'd be much stronger than they are now. But, some of them have only got a handful of games to their name.
Is that the problem with our O-line? Like the fact that we don't renew and pay our guards and our centers? Because if you never renew your guards and your centers and you keep relying on drafting them, you will never have an experienced O-line. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I just want to see a line of 27, 28-year-old guys that have got thousands of NFL snaps behind them. They don't have to be the best in the league. Just be experienced and a fit for the scheme. I think that's enough. But as long as we're not paying these guys that we've drafted, we're just constantly going to be green around the horn, aren't we? It's maybe that is the part of the problem.
It always seems to be the interior that we don't re-sign. I mean, Olu isn't going to command a lot. LeMayer's on a rookie contract. Then you look at the fact Haynes, if they decide to move into left guard, he's still on a rookie contract, 3rd round money. Then it's just a matter of re-signing the bookends, and we can have that consistency going forward. That's what it needs. It needs consistency and it needs reps against other teams that aren't just on the practice field. So here we go. We've got more. Gary. Hi, Gary. So the first comment we've put up from Gary to this week. He's been very quiet. I hope you're all right, mate. There are a lot of errors throughout this game by both teams. I do think we need to remind ourselves that this coaching staff is very inexperienced at this level and accept there will be growing pains and bumps in the road this season. I can take those errors this season, but next year they need to be gone. Do you agree? Andy?
Well, no, I think really with possible experience of Grubb, it's going to be interesting to see if he does stick around. I think I don't know how well McDonald wanted him in the first place. I'm not sure if it would have been his first choice even, but I think certainly for the defensive coordinator in McDonald, I think they've done a really good job so far. With what they've had, they're very experienced, and I think that again it's another knock to our chances of doing anything too spectacular this season. But I think with the exception of Grubb, no, I'd certainly keep them for the long haul.
Grubb, Harbaugh, would you keep him?
Good question. It wasn't Harbaugh fumbling the balls, but the special teams has been bad. But yeah, Harbaugh was at Michigan, wasn't he? I think was he. I'm assuming he's quite pal with McDonald. Although McDonald was only there one season, was he? I'm guessing there's some sort of relationship between them, though, that would probably mean he's going to stay around.
I love a bit of coaching nepotism. Mitch?
Yeah, I I don't know on Grubb. I think Grubb wasn't the number one choice, was he? I think Mike Kafka was the number one target. I just don't know. I think it's unfortunate for Grubb to try and install his first NFL offensive playbook behind an O-line like that he's got. And I think if he'd managed to establish the run game behind a semi-functioning O-line, his playbook suddenly doubles in size. However, there is a lot of things lacking, and I do think that if the right offensive coordinator is available in the off-season, we may well make a move and say enough's enough there. We're going to move on. And I think if you'd looked at the beginning of the season when we picked up Huff and Grubb, and you saw that kind of that package deal that you get with, an offensive coordinator. Sorry, not offensive coordinator. Yeah, an offensive coordinator and an offensive line coach that had such a good offensive line. You looked at it and thought, well, you wouldn't want to lose one because you might lose the other, or will one work well without the other? I now look at both of them and think I could lose both and not cry about it. Honestly, I've not seen enough improvement from either side that they are responsible for to feel like I'm going to miss one of them. Do you see what I mean? If the two of them get ripped out and replaced, I can't say we wouldn't be a worse team for it basically next year. So I could definitely see it happening.
Gary has just corrected himself as well. He's or elaborated. He didn't mean the coach is gone. He meant the errors. A very quick one then. Yes. Yeah.
That's a different angle.
Yeah, there you go. The errors need to be gone.
I see that now. Yes.
Yeah. A winning team or a winning coach will tell you that the most successful teams are the ones with the least amount of professional errors. So drop balls, drop catches, silly penalties, anything like that. If you can minimize those, you've got more chance of possessing the football for longer and winning a game. That simple. But hopefully with another year of this coaching group and instilling their schemes and their philosophies, all the errors will start to minimize as well. And also getting new people in. Once they actually get the roster sort of moved around and tweaked to how these coaches want it, then I think we'll see more of a return as well. Rich, I just had to put this in there because it just goes to prove that people are really annoyed about this struggling to convert from the 1 yard line. It's becoming a huge frustrating problem every single week. Surely there has to be a way to sort it out. Answered on a postcard, and I think Amy designed Pete's Beach House has come in with a nice sort of sprinkling there for a suggestion. Why don't we have a run game coordinator? With the difficulties week after week, you'd think we'd have someone devoted to figuring this out. This is why I put these two here, because if you had a run game coordinator, then maybe the 1 yard losses or that need for 1 yard may be minimized because we'd have someone who knows exactly what to play to make those 1 yards. Well, it was very interesting. We've got a running back coach, but no run game coordinator.
Do you need one? I mean, I think it looks like we need one, but I'm not sure. I'm not convinced in that, to be honest. But it is an interesting question when you are struggling with it so much why you don't have one.
Ben has just come in and said we might have someone in the VMAC working on it just without the title. I mean, the amount of coaches that are in that building or any sort of NFL organization, there probably is one. And here we go. I thought I'd give Jonas a little bit of a spotlight here because he put 3 in and I thought they were all quite good. So a little off topic, but who is your favorite or your personal favorite expert on an NFL broadcasting duo? I say give me Mark Sanchez any day of the week. Andy, who's your favorite? Current.
I'm quite a big fan of Adam Amin, who called the game, who was on commentary last night. I'm also a quite big fan of Joe Buck, which is like something that goes down like a lead balloon when I say that. But he just commentated on so many of the big Seahawks games that I quite like him. He normally calls it right as well. I personally find him not too bad. For the second chair, it's a good question. That I quite like Greg Olsen, but that's Seahawks links. But I think I've gone off him more this season. I struggle to like many of these guys on the second chair. I think, unfortunately.
Yeah.
For me, anyone but Olsen. I'm fine with anyone, just not Olsen. I just don't vibe with his opinions. They very rarely resonate with me, and I find sometimes he's saying things just to get a reaction out of fan bases. So yeah, I think he offers very little analytically and just antagonizes people, or tries to.
I find his analysis and commentary as thin as his hairline.
Not as thin as mine, there, right?
Well, do you think so? You've actually got a good hairline. Just had to shave it all off, mate. You went full Britney. Like, I need a change.
Full Britney.
In winter.
Full Britney.
But Olsen, I think he's been so vocal about how much dislike he has for our organisation after what happened, even though he got himself injured and what happened. I just cannot stand Olsen. I do genuinely like Mark Sanchez. I listened to one of the Seattle radio shows where he came on and he was just waxing lyrical about Devon Witherspoon, and he was saying he's possibly one of the best players he's ever seen, which I thought was superlatives. Throw them around, but come on, give him some time. Second one from Jonas. Seattle traded the second rounder for Leo Williams and gave him a $64 million extension in the offseason, considering him becoming a linchpin in the Seahawks D-line, a unit McDonald cares more than anything about scheme-wise. How would you rate the Big Cat deal now? Well, we've gone through this. If we're going to go, let's go school grades, A to, F?
Are we factoring in the draft capital and the contract he got after?
Holistic.
Which probably should round it in. Yeah.
Go on, Andy. What are you going to grade this trade for Big Cat?
Well, right now, I think you have to say A. I think it was a second round and a fifth rounder, but I think they only gave up the second rounder because at the time they did it, they actually had 2 third-round picks. They didn't end up using those in the end, I don't think. But they had, so I think that was behind the thinking that they lost the second rounder, but they had 2 third-round picks was one of the reasons why they did it. And I think the contract, and like Mitch said, is like perfect for his age and production, and yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Go on.
I like the deal. I think what we gave up felt like a lot, because when you give up a second round pick, you're potentially not taking someone that could be on your roster for 10 years. But I'd take an X factor on our D line for 5 years for a second round pick, rather than an average player filling up a roster spot for 10 every day of the week. And it's never a guarantee when you start drafting. So we traded for a known entity, gave him a good deal that worked for us and him, and we got him at a great time. It's an A to A plus for me. It turns into an A plus if we have him for the full duration of that contract, and he continues at this level for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. A plus is a leader. I think he's just excelling in this scheme at the moment. I think they've got him very much playing in that Madabuke role, where he is all over that line and he's getting so much penetration. He's bullying offensive linemen, and it's so nice to see. Yeah, A plus. I can't really expand on what you two have said. I think it's been fantastic. And then Jonas has got one for you, Mitch.
Yes.
As Lockett's play is declining, DK maybe not being there in Seattle in 2025, and Jake Bobo starting to become an afterthought in this offense. Who are the receiver prospects in the upcoming draft class Seahawks fans should realistically keep an eye on?
There's 4. And I'm not going to go into too much depth, but I'm going to name drop some guys. Number 1 on my list of desired wide receivers to add to this group, assuming that Lockett is done, and I do think that he is after this year. I think DK comes back. Torrey Horton from Colorado State is the guy that I see coming in and playing wide receiver 3 and being able to do the majority of the things that we've looked to Tyler Lockett for. Athletically, he's above average, presents a deep threat, solid hands, moves the chains, finds soft spots in coverage. He's just so good. And I think unless he absolutely blows up the combine, and he's not the sort of twitchy player that will, have a combine that sort of stands out like that. I think he'll go early on day 3, and with us looking to maybe pick up a quarterback project or bolster the O-line, I think that's probably where we're looking. Honourable mentions to Jack Beck from TCU. Another do-it-all wide receiver that we could get for value. Also a bigger frame guy. I think he's 6'2". I think older prospect as well. If we end up taking one earlier, if say we do it again and take a first-round wide receiver, there is an absolute brilliant fit for this scheme, and that is Xavier Restrepo from Miami. That would be JSN levels of excitement for me with what he could do to this offense. And final shout for Barrion Brown, who could be a real late round pickup, although currently expected to run a 4.25 40. And if that happens, he'll ignite the combine. So if that
teleporting
happens, yeah, that's a blink. But there's some names to look out for, and I think those guys, if you're looking to replace a Lockett in your roster, those are my 4 names to look out for. So, good question, Janus. Enjoyed that.
There were many more Discord member musing. There's been many more comments and questions as well. I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining. This has been brilliant. As always, the comments have kept us going. It's amazing seeing you guys talking to each other whilst we're chatting about the Seahawks, and whilst we've had a guest like Andy come on as well. It's been lovely. Andy, before we sign off, would you like to tell anyone who's joined us a bit later about the UK Seahawkers, about yourself, where they can find the UK Seahawkers? They'll see it on this pod anyway, but I'd like it to come from you as a founding member.
Well, the UK Seahawkers, first thing to say, I'm not on the committee anymore. I was on the original committee, but I'm not on the committee now. So that's run by other people. But the new memberships will be new again in January of this year if you wanted to join. So, and again, I can't quite remember the exact. I think it's about £15 to £20 for a family membership and about £12 for an individual membership. I think they changed that last year to a slight degree. I can't quite remember exactly what it was. But no, I find them a great bunch of people to be with, and I've been to all the meetups except the one that was close to where I lived at the time. So I've certainly had a great relationship with a lot of people over a lot of years. I've ended up going to Seattle 3 times now to watch the Seahawks play. I've been to Seattle more than that at times in the summer. I didn't mention this, but my wife is from Seattle.
Oh, right. Perfect.
So I go and watch the Seattle Mariners a lot in summer as well, which I enjoy as well.
Oh, amazing.
And I've seen, I think I mentioned to you last night that I've seen 6 Seahawks games and I have a record of 5-1. So that's pretty good, I think. That's a standard record against anyone else that's seen 6 games.
That's solid.
Take that one. Let's get to some more.
Yeah. And I said I have got this Christmas decoration I showed you earlier, the Tyler Lockett.
Amazing.
Tyler Lockett toe tap Christmas tournament.
I love it.
I was in the stadium for that game in 2019. That was a Thursday night game when Greg Zerline missed a late field goal from about 40 yards, I think, to see the Seahawks over the line.
I think I need to get myself one of those just to put on my wife's very nice white and ice blue Christmas decoration. Just put it there, pride of place. Why not? I want to say a massive thank you to Andy for coming on and joining us. It's amazing having another UK Seahawker on. If you're a UK Seahawker or a Seahawker from anywhere, all Seahawkers and non-Seahawkers welcome. We invite you to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can find us on YouTube, X, Instagram, Blue Sky now. That's right, moving with the times. Still have no idea what they are. They're just basically X in Twitter, in my opinion. You can find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, all over the place, or just search at 12 Talk Pod and you will find us. But with that, thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. It's an absolute pleasure. Sorry I didn't get around to your comments and whatnot, but I'm just watching the time ticking on. And I appreciate I need to go and sort my daughter out. But thank you again to Andy. Thank you, as always, to my podcasting partner in crime, Mitch. We have been the 12 Talk Podcast. If you want to get in contact with us, you can hit us up via our Discord or slide into our DMs. We are always more than happy to chat Hawks with you. But I think we should finish with our usual Go Hawks. So, gentlemen, do you want to join me in that? There you go.
Go
One,
Hawks.
three. 1, 2, 3. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Well, what a way to finish. See you later, Rod.